Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 14th episode of Gatsby's Yarn and the fourth in the MBA series. Like every episode, I bring before you a prominent B school where we talk about the intricacies of wherein to pursue a flagship course from there. For this episode, we have with us the mecca of social sciences, as Junior NTR would have labeled it. We have TISS Mumbai. And we have one of the most meticulous students from the HRM batch of 2023, Ms. Devamrutha. A very warm welcome to the podcast, Devamrutha. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and a small correction, not so meticulous.
Not so meticulous, as in we get to hear a lot about people getting to be in ARC. So that stands as a
All
definition.
right, if that's how you want to, term meticulous as sure.
How are things coming along, Devamrita? How are the things right now at
So
this Mumbai with
currently,
life? Yeah.
yeah. So currently, I am on my summer break. So my classes are done with. I have a good 2 months time to chill and relax at home,
Hmm.
and be bothered by nothing at this moment. And I would start my work in like 20 days from now. June 12th would be my joining day, and I would be joining Colgate Palmolive India for my management training program.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We'll dwell into the academic intricacies of this later on as well. But let's talk
Sure.
about your journey, Devamrita. Your journey from somebody who's a proper, if I'm not wrong, you're from Kerala. You're a
Yeah.
hardcore Malayali, if I'm not wrong. So your journey all the way from the boulevards of Kerala to the boulevards of Mumbai. If you could talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure.
That part.
So,
Starting from your UG. Yeah, from your UG.
yeah, all right. So I've been well within the same campus, right from my KG to my UG. Yeah. So I've studied under the same. I've
KG to
studied under
UG.
Yeah, KG to UG. Yeah. So I've been to Chinmaya Vidyalaya, and I've
Uh-huh.
also been for college. I've been to Chinmaya Arts and Science College. So it both belongs to the same their sister
Yeah, that's
concern.
the same
Belongs
thing.
to the
Yeah.
same, yes, it belongs to the same mission. So yeah,
Yeah.
under the same mission. So yes. So I am through and through Chinmaya product for about 14 plus 17 years of my life. So yes, UG. Well, I didn't want to join the college where I pursued my undergraduation. I had other plans, but then life had some other plans for me, and then I was left with this option. But then I would always be thankful to my college, because my college has opened a lot of opportunities for me. My college was one place where my UG college was one place I truly discovered who I was. Like I've been a very active student back in college. I've also contested for the union election in my college, and I was sure if not for the a chairperson position, I wouldn't contest for any other position, and I contested for it. And guess what? I turned out to be the chairperson of my college,
Whoa.
union
Whoa, whoa,
council
whoa.
chairperson of my
Whoa,
college.
whoa.
Yes. So yes, it was a wonderful journey. Participated in a lot of competitions. Uh, you know, um, Took accountability for a lot of things. So management fests were a huge part of my college days. And yeah, so that was about my UG. After which I decided to prepare for my MBA. So
Mm-hmm.
I spent a couple of months for coaching. Back then, it did not work out in my favor, so I thought, and I kind of missed my TISNET cutoff by about 3 marks. So yeah,
Three
missed by a
months.
whisker. So I felt I shouldn't give up on this easily. So I
Yeah.
felt like I should give it one more try. But then I didn't want to spend another year doing nothing but just only coaching. So I thought, let me kind of work and then study alongside, because now I know how the rigor is, and I know how the preparation should be scheduled or
Mm.
structured. So I joined Godrej Properties Limited as a customer relationship manager in their
Mm-hmm.
customer centricity part. It was a customer facing role. So I
Mm-hmm.
had it was a very short stint with them, a 5 month role that I did with them, after which TestNet happened, and then I cleared TestNet, and then we had about 3 months or so before our interview happened, the OPI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then that happened, and then uh, and then this happened. So yes, it was a pretty long journey. I think I had a break of about 1.5 or 1.7 years after my UG. Between my UG and PG, there is a break. So yeah, that's about my journey before this.
So, Devamrutha, you mentioned that you were pretty sure that you want to pursue a course from TISS Mumbai. How did you get that clarity? How did you shortlist that, okay, this is my college and I have to give it a shot?
So it all goes on to how the entire concept of TISS is, because it's not
Mhm.
like any other B school, and it's not a B school for that matter. It's a social sciences institute. So I
Mhm.
think the pedagogy and the entire way how everything is structured here, because it stands different or stands apart from any other B school. Even though you get a good mix of whatever is there in a B school, but there's a lot more to it. So that always caught my attention, and also my affinity for HR. When I found out HR is what I want to do, in fact, I would say my reason of why HR or my answer for why HR would be a function of my skills and my experience. So I did, a self audit to understand what is that I want to do. If MBA, then what will I do? So there were two subjects that I always loved throughout my UG. One was human resources management, and another was marketing. But later I realized maybe marketing is not my cup of tea. And then I was very sure about HR. And as I said, I would say the pedagogy and how this is that kind of or made me realize, or I got that, epiphany that, yeah, this is it for me.
That makes a lot of sense. And to all the aspirants getting to hear the self audit part, I'd really stress on the fact that they need to have experiences. They need to have a lot of experiences to get that clarity of what domain they are well suited for. So, talking of your preparation as well, Devamrita, you told us that you've started from scratch preparing for the arithmetic part. But what about the interview part? What about the part for interviews where, of course, all of us are aware that the TISS official ARC community is a very, what do you call, helpful community which helps a lot of aspirants out there. But what part from that did you do?
So for my interview, again, I did a self audit here. So I knew
How many self audits are a part of your life? How many
a
self
lot,
audits?
a lot. And I think it's very important, and it's very important also to know where exactly do you stand, what is your potential, how much can you push yourself, and where exactly this is it. I can't give in more efforts. So I was sure that interview wouldn't be that difficult for me. I was sure of that part. But I was also kind of sure that a test would be a little difficult for me. That
Hmm.
would throw me off gears. But an interview has, touch wood, never thrown me off gears. So for me, preparing for interview was all the more a very exciting journey for me, because every day I would sit on to read something new, be it gaining more knowledge on the HR part or the non-HR part. Every day I would go on to read new articles. I would try exploring more topics. And because extempo was something that was introduced when our batch gave their interview, um, so again, there, all of my reading helped me there, and then I did a lot of practice on my own, practicing for extempore, and I did have a buddy, a friend of mine who is currently my junior. We studied together for this, so so yeah, all of those had helped me, and then for so particularly on the interview part, I tried understanding what were the commonly asked questions that I could expect in an interview. And then I also made sure that any question asked on me about my experience, about my college work experience, I'm well versed with everything, so that I wouldn't have to think twice, or wouldn't have to think when I get a question on myself. So that was the first thing I made it clear, that let me go through everything that I've done in life so far, and then came on to getting more knowledge, adding more knowledge, and then you know it's all about talking in a way that is convincing to the person who hears what you talk, and then telling things that they want to hear. So it was all about that. It was, yeah, and it was all about uh, reading more, gaining more knowledge, and this doesn't happen in a week's time, and it doesn't happen in a week's time. So it was a very organic process right from the beginning. So the time I cleared DISNet, I think I started from there, practicing, or maybe starting preparing for my interview. So it was months of effort that went into reading, understanding what HR is about, understanding the HR functions, what are the recent trends in HR, and post COVID and throughout COVID, how did the role of HR emerge, and how
Evolved.
did it become important more than before?
Devamrita, if you could jot down 5 sources from wherever you read whatever you did, what would they be?
Mm,
Like
sources,
any
okay.
book, any journal, any news publication, or
Right, right. So, McKinsey Insights was one source that I religiously followed. They have a separate section or separate tab for human resources wherein they talk about wherein they publish articles on very relevant topics. And then, websites like SHRM, People Matters, all of these were my go-to websites for my interview preparation. And and then and then if I wanted to know about something new, or if there's a burning topic in the news related to any socio-economic political issue, so I would simply do a Google search on that. And then
yep.
it would go from one link to another, one hyperlink to another, one tab to another. So
Yeah.
there I don't stick to any particular source. I just go where Google search engine takes me.
Yeah. I mean, go where the world takes you, go where Google search takes you. That's
Exactly.
kind of funny. But yeah, McKenzie Insights and SHRM and People. What was the
People
third one
matter.
again?
People matters. People
People
matters.
matters. People matters. Thanks for summing all of that up. And after you landed your seat at TISS, I mean, you didn't have the privilege of the luxury of getting to be at the campus, but since you had to carry it out from the online mode, how was the experience like? What were your first impressions like?
So for me, it was a legit dream come true. Like I told you, I dreamt of this right from the beginning, and then coming here, getting a seat at this was definitely a dream come true for me. So I really wished, or I really wanted to be there, and then that moment of realization, it was everything. So I would say, so I'm not exaggerating here. So for me, no day at this, be it in the online mode or in the offline mode, was a dull day for me. I mean, except for waking up in the morning for the 9:20 classes, that's a different thing altogether. But then I've always loved going to college. I've always loved everything about this. So I've never taken this for granted at any point in the past 2 years. So it was really good getting that experience of being in this college. So as I said, I've been well within the same campus for like from
17 years of life.
KG to UG. Yeah. So this was a different experience for me altogether. Coming out of moving to a different state altogether,
Yeah.
getting to students from almost different parts of the country. So it was a very interesting
Enriching
experience, I would
experience.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Devamrita, you mentioned that you moved to Mumbai, but before moving to Mumbai in that online mode, did TISS take care of you really well? Were the lectures good and sound enough?
Yeah, it did. So it was all really good back in the online mode also. We would occasionally catch up with people. We would have, the assignments and the rigor was still the same. So
Hmm.
we would have meetings for the assignments. We would have a lot of group assignments lined up, and no two groups might be the same. So we would have multiple group assignments. And the second semester is extremely rigorous. We had classes on Sundays as well, owing to the very short span of the second semester. So we would have classes on Sunday as well, and then yeah, this did take care of getting to know each other very well, and
Wow.
also getting to know students from other disciplines and other courses as well. Thanks to our CBCS course, that is choice based credit system
Credit
course,
system.
that yeah, that we have. So through that course, we get to interact with students from other disciplines and other courses. So yes, that was a gateway for us to get to know students from other disciplines. So that's where the interdiscipline interaction comes into picture. So yes, I would definitely say, compared to the offline, online was not that great in getting to know
Interactive.
people. Yeah, it being interactive, but then again, that was the best that we could get at that point of time. And I'll always be happy for the fact that we did get a good 2 semesters in campus. So can't be more thankful for that.
It's all about counting your blessings at the end of the day, right? So,
Yes.
Devamrita, what about the village excursion part where all of you are taken on field trips? This is an insider information that I got from the ARC sessions. But what about that? Was that not compromised during the online phase?
So our batch did not have the village excursion part, but the other courses do have a field trip
Hmm.
organized. So
Hmm.
since we already have a very hectic schedule of field works, and we have a summer internship which goes on with the same rigor, we kind of didn't get time for the village excursion. But towards the end of our fourth semester, we did do an NGO internship wherein we would have to find an NGO for ourselves and then take up a project there.
Hmm.
So that happened, but then that was not for the entire class together. That was something that we had to do on an individual basis.
On an individual basis. That makes sense. And about shifting your attention to the campus again, Devamrita, like you mentioned about the CBCS part where it was a gateway to interact with the rest of the individuals. What about any other attractions of the campus? Like something that's very idiosyncratic to what TISS Mumbai stands for. Except from that tree photo that all of you pose at that you try to revive. But what about apart from that?
So, talking about the culture at this at large. So, as I said, no day is a dull day at AISS. This
That's
hosts
a
a very
powerful statement. That's a very powerful statement. No day is a dull day.
yeah, and I'll tell you
OMG.
why. I'll tell you why because you know uh, just it's the paramount of diversity. You have
Yeah.
people coming from every segment, sections, stratas of the society and the country here. Right. So you have representation across the country in the campus. So that is why the college also gives you a platform for expression. So you do not have to fear expressing who you are or expressing your identity. There is no form of stifling of identity here. So, like I said, so it's you get to see a lot of things. So it's also a platform wherein you get an awareness about a lot of things as well. So, for example, when I talked about that no day is a dull day, so we have communities of we have multiple communities here in this. Like, for example, if you were to talk about regional communities, you would have an event organized by the Malayalis at this, nearing to the festivals like Onam, and you would have communities of Bengali students
Durga
organizing
Puja.
their
Whatever
programs. You
festival.
have a
Yeah.
community of students from the Northeast organizing their programs. You have a community of students from Tamil Nadu organizing their programs. So it's a festival altogether. So every day you would see something or the other happening at this, and then you have a lot of committees or clubs. There's also a club called Animal Care Club here in TISS. So you'll find a lot of dogs and cats walking here and there, and then so all of those animals are being taken care by the Animal Care Club, and so yeah, so you find people from all walks of life here, and there's ample space for everything. So you don't have to fear putting out who you are. uh, there's there's space for everything, and this place is really good if you want to express who you are and see people expressing themselves. And then I think I learned a lot coming here to this. I saw a lot of things which I have never seen. I've interacted with people whom I would have never interacted back here in being in Kerala. So there's so much awareness about everything, and I think the foundation is always on socialist values, but again, you have a good mix of everything else also coming here in the picture. And yeah, I think that would pretty sum up the things here in DIS.
Talking of TISS specifically, if there's one thing that has always bothered my mind as to how a master's in arts student, now I'm taking this name specifically, how a master's in arts student is made competent enough that an industry, that an organization values him at a certain remuneration. Could you talk us a little bit about that factor? What does TISS do specifically to make you that competent?
So I think this is where the pedagogy comes into play. So to start with, we have something called the foundation course. So the institution believes no matter what course you are being admitted for, you should know about certain foundation courses here in TISS. So in foundation courses, you are taught about, topics like population, religion, caste, contemporary issues in rural and urban India, the idea of India, India's role in, the all about independence and everything that you as an individual in this country should know, because these things would go on to making you a socially sensitive person, wherein you are
Precisely.
not just somebody working in corporate unaware about everything happening around you, because only if you understand these can you treat your customers, that is employees, in a better way. And then comes the thing of fieldwork. So we have a fieldwork in every semester. So
Hmm.
so if you were to do the math, having a fieldwork in every semester and then your summer internship of 2 months adds up to a total of 6 months of work experience, even before you land a job for yourself, right? And that too in multiple organizations. So in for every fieldwork you get different organization and in different industries. So for example, in my first fieldwork I worked with Aditya Birla Group's Hindalco
Yep.
Industries. For my second fieldwork I worked with Reliance Retail, and my summer internship I did with an FMCG Reckitt. For my third and fourth fieldwork, which was clubbed together, I did it with Colgate Palmolive. So you see, it was minus my summer internship, my all my fieldwork, you know, organizations and industries are different. So this is a very distinctive feature of this, wherein the college places its students in organizations to work, and it also serves an opportunity wherein your classroom education is integrated in whatever you do, wherein and you also get project spaces, topics like compensation, on learning and development, and even some one project which I had gotten for my second fieldwork was integration of AI, and
Expected.
how, yeah, and how artificial intelligence can be used from in HR functions and processes. So it's a great way to learn about things which you can learn beyond your classrooms as well. And then comes your dissertation. So you could do an extensive research on any topic of your interest. And here's the thing, your topic needn't be something basis human resource management. It could be almost anything. And you have all the liberty to choose any guide that you want, even outside your school or your center. So yeah, so that is about dissertation, and then you have your, and then you have your course structure as such, wherein topics or sub you have a good mix of subjects like marketing. You are also taught about finance. You're also taught about operations. You're also taught about qualitative and quantitative research, and then there is no dearth of industrial exposure here in classroom training as well, wherein you have time and again you have interaction with various business leaders or HR heads coming into your classroom for various subjects. And of course there is an international exposure also that you can expect if you are interested in any student
Hosting
exchange
an exchange program.
yeah,
Yep.
exchange program. So I think it's always a mix of all these that gives you the same footing as an MBA student might get in the space of HR.
Narrowing our discussion exclusively to placements, what are the factors that play the spoil sport when a person seeks to, get recruited in any of the prominent recruiters? What are the factors that play the spoil sport? Like, if there's something that will prevent him from entering the, or if there's something that actually aids your entry into that specific top five firm.
Uh, no, not that I've heard of any. So I've seen people, of various age groups getting into really good companies. Uh, People with quite a lot of gap years, as how people call it nowadays, getting into really good companies, getting
One second,
into
one second.
better.
Nowadays, they had a different term earlier for career gap years.
No, the gap year, the word that they use, the
Yeah.
terminology that they use. Even I got
Right.
accustomed to this term only after rigorously started
Yeah.
preparing for
Yeah.
MBA. Else I was never aware, okay, what is gap
Gap
year?
year is something that every student dreads, gap year.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, so yeah, coming back. So I have seen people with, a lot of years of work experience getting into this, people with quite a few years of gap years, getting into really good companies, getting into FMCG companies for that matter, and across genders also. It's not like some companies only prefer female candidates. So I think there are certain myths around it for sure, and companies might have their own preferences which we might not be aware of.
Yeah.
But on the overall, I think there's an opportunity, there's a chance, there's an equal chance for everybody, uh, for everything. Like, you have a profile, and I think you should be confident on what you have as well, and you should make peace with, okay, this is what I've done in my past, so this is what I can kind of look into. For example, if I might say a company like Google, they might primarily look for engineering graduates or BTech graduates, and may not look for people who have an arts background.
Yeah.
So this is what I have seen, right? So I have to make my peace with that, because I can't then cry saying, "Oh, I want to go to Google," but
Yeah.
I am from a commerce background. So you have to make peace with certain things, what your profile looks like, and you can always work on your profile. You could do, you could do additional internships or anything that can help you to, help you land a better chance, a better offer. So it's all about knowing what you are, what you can do, what are the things that you've done, and then, preparing accordingly.
Making best of whatever little you have, right, Devamrutha? And another question to that would be, what is the role of the past academic scores when a person seeks to get placed? Does it act more of a hurdle, or is it, overlooked?
um ac- Companies do look into academics, but it's just the basic. Like, if you have
Benchmark.
this, yeah, there's a benchmark that comes into play. If you have this, then sure, you can, sit for any organization, or
But
they
if you
might
don't have
shortlist.
this, if you don't have this, you know,
So I think it is similar, or it is in similar lines with the basic eligibility criteria that even TISS lays down. Right, you must have a minimum qualifying
60%.
marks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should have a minimum qualifying marks that, TISS
In your
prescribes.
UG, in your 12th and
In
10th.
your UG, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
No, this does not look in, like, this
Your
doesn't
12th and
have
10th, right?
cutoff scores for your academics,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about the minimum eligibility score. So
Exactly.
even companies would have anywhere around the same, benchmark, but that might be maybe internal to them, wherein they want to look into the
I
how
see.
consistent the candidate has been in their
I
academics.
see. I see. That makes sense. And talking of the roles that are offered, what are the kind of roles specifically in HR? I mean, do you get HR generalist roles, or do you get HR with specialization in recruitment, or with specialization in something else?
So this also depends on whether or not you have work experience,
Hmm.
because you have lateral placements also for people who have more than 18 months of work experience. So there, if you go through lateral placements, then you might land in, specialist or generalist roles. But then if you were to start from the scratch, like, for a person like me, I'll have to go through the management trainee program,
Hmm.
which, gives you a good idea of what the entire organization is about, and then will I get a permanent role. And this applies for a lot of organizations, wherein first you are taken in as a trainee, and then you are given a good flavor of pretty much all the functions of the organization, and
That,
all the roles that probably an HR professional can face. And then you are put in a specialized role or in a permanent role.
whoa, that makes sense. And talking of roles, if there's something that has been really viral on LinkedIn, okay, this is something to lighten up your mood. We've seen this meme where they talk about artificial intelligence, where we see all the engineers crying, but then we see the HR people celebrating because AI models can't make a rangoli. Sorry, bro.
Okay.
You must have got a lot of these rangoli jokes already.
Yeah, I think it's very become a very cliche thing, and then
Typical
I
joke.
think people should get over the Rangoli joke ASAP. Yeah,
It triggers you guys, right? It triggers you.
it's no, it doesn't trigger anymore. That's the
It
thing,
does.
right? That's
Oh,
the
it's
thing. It
become a
doesn't
part of
trigger
their life.
any.
It's become
Yeah,
a
it
part.
doesn't trigger anymore. Get something new. Yeah, it's high time people get something new.
But that's kind of a funny joke. And what do you feel? How do you feel when people call HR the redundant part of an organization? Now I'm asking all the tough questions, Devamrutha. So, how do you feel when they call HR the redundant part of the organization?
I don't think right now people would call HR the redundant people of an organization,
Mhm.
because you have seen the kind of enormous changes that organizations have been through post COVID. how there was, this an entire restructuring that happened in the working scenario with respect to workplaces, with respect to workers, and with respect to your work. So, you know, in all of these three things, I'm sure the human resources department was the epicenter to ensure everything was in place.
Wow.
The toggling from work from home to work from office to a hybrid mode, ensuring you have all the resources to get your work done, no matter where or which intricate part of the country you are in, and also ensuring you have all the benefits that you were getting as an employee who came to office in person, and as an employee whom you could see within the you know corners of the screen. So I think in all of these places, HR professionals were in the forefront trying to ensure employees have a great working experience. And the role is only increasing in value over the year, has been increasing in value over the years, and it will only increase in values in the coming years. And I think all these placement figures and the placements and the number of companies and the type
Or a
of
testimony of
recruiters
that.
that comes are simply a testimony for all of these that happens.
And the fact that Chanel's CEO is somebody who was a CHRO earlier, that's something to look forward to. If anybody comes to you telling that, oh, HR is nothing, show that to their face. Okay, look at
Yeah,
this. Chanel's CEO. Okay,
yeah.
but okay, talking of people from TISS though, is there anyone in TISS who made it big, like, on the topmost positions
A
or,
lot, actually.
a lot,
A lot. If you were to take
a few
TISS
names?
HRM's Alcom page on Instagram or on LinkedIn, and if you were to go through the post section, you would see the number of people who have made it huge. If I were to name a few, the CHRO of Asian Paints or of Virgin Galactic, the Chief People Officer of Virgin Galactic, if I'm getting the name right, Aparna Chitale, recently, I think a year ago or so, or a couple of months ago, she was appointed as a Chief People Officer. And for anybody who feels that if you are an HRM graduate, the maximum that you can go is up to CHRO. I
Yeah.
think Santosh Mishra has, defied all odds. He's somebody who has gone on to become the director of Birla Carbon in the Aditya Birla Group Industries,
Whoa.
Birla Group, and he's also the group CHRO there. So if you are the best in what you're doing, I think it's not just CHRO, but even the CEO is something that you can always dream of. So
Wow.
yes, there are people who have made it huge. Who have made it big. Every once in a month or once in 2 months, you could see
A new
an
announcement.
alum's picture who has risen to the position of a CHRO, who has been recognized under any prominent you know yeah, who has made it big, of
Yeah,
course.
who's made it big? Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about the part where you sort of relinquish the prospects of getting to pursue a conventional MBA? You're taking this risk of, constricting yourself to a typical, not a typical, of course, there's not a typical MA course, but that part where you're not that up to the market trends by, doing an MBA. What about that? Does that act as an obstacle, Devamrutha?
For me, honestly, it has never been an obstacle, because even when I went for my summer internship, I was at par with my co-interns in the HR space. Or if I were to go to any other organizations for my fieldwork, I was never questioned on, okay, is this only that you can do because our previous intern who had an MBA or
Mhm.
who was currently doing an MBA did much better than you. I was never questioned on those fronts, and I
Yeah.
don't think any of my classmates would have ever had this situation wherein they were questioned on their, not having an MBA but an MA only. So I think this is where also the pedagogy comes into picture,
Yeah.
wherein you
Yeah.
are given a flavor of everything, wherein you're not devoid of anything. You're given a flavor of everything because our college, the course, the curriculum gives a places huge important on doing while learning, or learning while doing, and on evidence based management. So yeah, you get to, so even as you learn, you are being taught about various organizations, you are given real life situations, you are given Harvard business cases to work upon. And yeah, so you are at an equal footing with any MBA graduate for that
The
matter.
rest of the B school graduates. Let's talk a little more about the curriculum and the grading system. So first things first, you already mentioned that you had an aversion to mathematics initially. So Is the course what do you call having a lot of maths in it, or what's the role of mathematics in the typical MA HRM course?
So you have subjects like quantitative research, you have subjects like operations management and financial management,
Hmm.
wherein math comes into picture. But I, being a BCom graduate, I did have a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
fair understanding of
yeah.
financial management. So that was pretty easy for me. Although quantitative research was, I did find it a little difficult, but then you have your classmates to help you out.
That's
So
the point
owing to
of
the
pursuing a master.
Yes, yes. And I think owing to the smaller batch size, about like 70, 73 students, everybody is there. You have everybody at everybody's beck and call, right? Nobody would say no if you had to ask for help. You have people helping you every now and then. So I think you have enough support from your peer support, something that worked wonders for me and for anybody in my class, I would say. So the course is not heavy on math, but there is math as much as you should know, because for
Hmm.
dissertation you have to, if you were to do a quantitative research, then you will have to know the
It'll come
basics of
handy.
statistics.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that will definitely come handy. So yeah, so that's where the math part comes into the curriculum. And talking about the curriculum in large, so like I said, you have foundation courses, then you have your core courses, then
Hmm.
you have your choice-based courses, then you have your dissertation, and then
Hmm.
you have disciplinary electives, wherein you have a set of subjects within the
Hmm.
course, of which you can choose, 6 subjects per semester for your electives in your third and fourth semester. And then fieldwork has a pretty large emphasis on your grading as well. The
Hmm.
credits for your fieldwork in each semester is the highest. So yes, you better do your fieldwork extremely well,
Seriously.
and make sure you do your work, you submit your journal, and do your presentations, both for your internal faculty and for your fieldwork guide pretty well, because you are graded not just within the college. I mean, not just graded by your faculty supervisor, but you're also graded by your supervisor or your
At the
guide in the
organization.
organization. Yes, they are sent a grade sheet and they have to grade you as well.
Wow.
So it's not like you do a good presentation in college and get away with your work in the company. No, you can't do that. You have
Wow.
to be equally good in both the places.
So could you walk us through the weightage of every component of the course? Like, you know, every
Um,
semester, how are you graded for these subjects?
so the grading happens on the 10 scale CGPA.
10
And
CGPA.
it's not, yeah, and it's not relative grading that happens here. It's a
Hmm.
cumulative grade point average that they take into
Hmm.
consideration. So the weightage, as I said, fieldwork has more weightage every semester.
Hmm.
It has the maximum credits, if I'm not wrong. And of course, your core courses also has the maximum credits. Yeah, and then not that I can actually think of.
What about the core courses and the foundation courses? How are they marked at? Like, what is the internal component? What is the external component?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the internal
I mean,
external.
how much are you, what do you call, marked on examinations that you are supposed to give at the end of
That
a
depends
semester?
on faculty. It depends on faculty.
Depends on
Sometimes
faculty.
yeah, the faculty might decide, okay, 50% on your presentations and
Hmm.
50% for your written. And surprisingly, for certain subjects, you might not have examinations. It might
Oh,
all, yeah, for some, again, it depends on faculty. For some faculty, they might give you certain percentage for class participation, certain percentage for individual submission, certain percentage for group submission, and a certain percentage for the examination. So it depends on faculty. Like they want to do a presentation, they want to do an examination, however they are comfortable with. And for your, you might even have weekly journal submissions for certain subjects. You might be graded there as well.
whoa,
So
whoa.
there's no rigid, hard and fast rule or something set in stone that, okay, throughout every course you will be evaluated 50% on your assignments and 50% on your written examination. No, that's not how it works. So
There's no
it's
legit exam giving rule. At the end of the semester, you get to sit and, cram really hard, study a couple of books.
yeah,
All of that is
uh,
not
that
relevant.
is not there. That was not there for us. But maybe I think for our juniors now that offline classes are have come back
Yeah.
in shape. they might be having exams for every subject. But again, as I said, the ratio at which how it is divided between your individual submissions, group submissions, and
It's
your
subjective to the
examinations,
lecturer.
yeah, it's subjective to the lecture.
Whoa. And the part where you mentioned that it was a blessing of online phase, getting to do away with external examination of a few subjects.
Yeah, sure.
It's kind of funny. And what about a typical day at TISS? How long does it last? You mentioned that your classes start from 9:20 in the morning. So how long does it last, and what are the
um,
breaks like?
yeah. So again, it's we don't have a set timetable for every week. We don't follow the same timetable as we did in school or college. So
Mhm.
sometimes our classes start at 9:20 and then it might end at around 2:20. But sometimes
Mhm.
it might start only at 11:20 or 10:20 and then it might end at around 4:20. Depends on how many lectures do you have scheduled for a day. Sometimes we might just have one lecture and sometimes you might have four lectures. So that the day becomes extremely hectic and cramped because then you have to go back home and do your assignments, journals, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think academically, second and third semester are very hectic. You have a
Mhm.
lot of subjects because in third semester you have about 6 or 7 compulsory subjects and
Mhm.
around 5 or 6 elective subjects. And then
Wow.
you would also have, yeah, and then you would also have to do a certain part of your dissertation also. So third semester along with second semester is very hectic. Fourth semester is a breeze. First semester is when you get to know, okay, this is
When
how
you get
things are.
accustomed. Yeah.
Yeah, and also first semester is also hectic where your summer placement preparation comes into picture. So even that is extremely hectic.
So what are the kind of preparation strategies that you get to prepare for aptitude tests or something else as well?
Because see, once you clear testnet and you're here in test, you are
You have a
expected to
good knack
clear
of
aptitude test, and then your seniors would definitely help you with everything that you need for your summer placements. They would help you taking mock interviews, mock GDs. They would even review your like you would have to answer certain behavioral questions from for different companies. They would even go on
psychometric
to
tests,
yeah,
right?
they would no psychometrics is a different thing. Like
Hmm.
questions like explain one situation wherein you've displayed leadership qualities in your life, or one situation wherein you had to,
Console
convince
somebody.
your console somebody, convince your team about something you felt it was right. So then you must have a good structure or a framework in your mind to answer these questions, right? So then your seniors would help you a lot there. So yes, like I said, owing to the very small batch size, there's everybody's there at everybody's beck and call, I feel.
Wow, that really was an elaborate answer. And coming towards the end of the discussion we've had, what would your advice be to all the aspirants out there, regardless of the fact that they seek to make it to TISS or not? But what would your advice be to all the management aspirants out there?
So, an advice for the aspirants, I would say understand the why of doing an MBA. As to why do you want to do an MBA? And once you get a pretty good answer for that, understand why do you want to pursue MBA in HR? Like, if I were to talk in terms of HR. So, are you really interested in the subject? Do you really have an affinity for the subject human resource management? Or is it just a getaway from something else? So only then, if you have the real interest for the subject, can you actually gel with everything that is there within the campus or within the course, right? So only then can you enjoy your life as a student or in TISS and as a student in the MA HRM course. So I think be sure on that front first, and then of course believe in your potential. Understand or believe in your potential first. Keep trying because I know it might sound a little trivial, but I feel if I can do it, anybody can do it for that matter. So believe in your potential. If you feel one attempt that you've given was not enough, it was not up to the mark, I would definitely urge you to go for a second attempt. If you feel that is something you really want, and if you feel believe I can be there, I believe I am worthy enough to get a seat in the ISS. So yes, this would be my advice. And then I think apart from that, the test taking thing, it, people would have their own
It's a piece of
strategies of
cake. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, their own strategy of cracking an exam and then how they want to go about it. I had my own strategy. You might have your own strategy. Because so that's a different story altogether. But initially, I would say understand the why, because once you get in here, you shouldn't feel okay. Why am I here? This is not something that I signed up for. So
Wow.
yeah.
You rightly mentioned that having that requisite clarity transmutes into a lot of happiness. So, Devamrita, how's your happiness these days? Are you happy enough with everything, how things have planned out? And, are you never bombarded by all those existential thoughts? Okay, what am I doing? I'm selling myself to the capitalist machinery. All those things that you get to hear at the TISS campus from the socialist people. You never bombarded by all of that.
No, I have never felt that way. This is
Uh-huh.
something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
5 years ago, or maybe three, yeah, 4 years ago, I have exactly dreamt of being here. And with
Wow.
utmost pride, I would say I am exactly at the place where I wanted to be as a student graduating out of this. And I never dreamt of, getting a job in this very company or interning in that very company. For me, it was about making it to test
The
because
journey, the
yeah,
process.
the journey, that was the process, is what kept me going. And the rest, I believed in my potential. I knew this is what I can do, and I knew, okay, I would land in a pretty good job. So I was never bothered about, okay, will I get into company X or will I get into company Y, or I was never adamant I really want company X. If not company X, I don't want any other job. So I never had thoughts of those nature. I knew what I could do, and I believed I would definitely get what I could do and what I was good at. And I think I really did get that. I'm not sure if this might come off as boastful, but I think you should be able to make sense of what you can do, how much you can do, and what you're worthy of. And I think the rest, everything will come into place. And this is something that has worked for me, and I think this should work for everybody.
How much you can do, what you're worthy of. This is
Yeah.
something out of a Robin Sharma book. This is something out of a self-help book. Oh my God. That was really,
Okay.
impactful, Devamrita. And the fact that you could dream your life into reality is all the more admirable. Like, that's
Yeah,
something that
not
all
really
of us need
sure.
to learn from.
Not really sure how life would be going forward as I step into the corporate world. So, keeping that aside, but so far the journey has been extremely good. Like Steve Jobs rightly said, you can only connect the dots once you look
When you look
back, right?
backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you cannot, going forward, you cannot connect the dots. But now I look back, I very well understand. Okay, why couldn't okay, even though I did not get an opportunity to go into a UG college of my choice, the place where I've been has been very beneficial or very imperative to what I am today. So everything has helped me throughout. Every moment in my journey has, helped me become what I am today. So I'm really, really thankful and helpful for everybody who has been part of this journey with me.
Wow. To all the aspirants listening to this episode, stop cribbing at however your institution is and start accepting whatever is put on your plate. Like Devamrita rightly mentioned, that UG, whatever UG college she was in, she made the most out of it. So probably that is something that we need to learn to. And with that, we come towards the end of this episode. I really extend my heartfelt gratitude to Devamrita for taking time out from a busy schedule and giving me this opportunity to interview her over her remarkable experience of getting to be the HR professional that she currently is. And with that, we call it a day, Devamrita.
Thank you so much, Krupal, once again for having me here in the first place. And I think I've asked you time and again, Krupal, do you think I'm the right person to do this podcast with you? And then you were like, yes, if not
This
you,
doesn't come up
not
that.
anybody else. So, so
Yeah.
I am extremely, extremely thankful for that. And thank you for having me here. And thank you for your time as well for hearing me out. And I hope I am of some use for the aspirants who would get to hear this podcast. And for anybody who is going to start their MBA journey, congratulations. Now the life ahead of you is what determines your destiny. Maybe a little bit of it.
Wow.
And for anybody who's starting their MBA preparation
Preparation.
journey, all the best to you. All the best to you all. I hope you land in your dream B school this year itself, or maybe next year, or maybe any year. But I hope you are able to fulfill the purpose of your life going forward.
That's a very, that sums it up really well. And with that, we come to the end again. All the best, Devamrita, to you too, and pursuing your job.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kripal.